Und da sind wir wieder bei The Great Ace Attorney Escapades. In der letzten Episode hatten wir ein Fake-Feuer in Herlock Sholmes Suite, was hervorgebracht hat, wofür wir uns wirklich interessieren, was unsere am meisten getrasherte Possession ist, unser am meisten gewertschätzter Besitz. Und in dieser Episode sind wir in Naruhodo's legal consultancy. An escapade in Naruhodo's legal consultancy, where Susato appears to be rather irritated, because it seems Ryunosuke has been buying a little too much bric-a-brac, and now the whole place is brimming with things they don't need. And his latest purchase has really rocked the boat with Iris and Susato. Okay, ist Ryunosuke vielleicht ein kleiner Messi? I don't know, wir werden es erfahren in Episode 5. Let's go! March, 2:40 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. So, musste einmal kurz husten. Hello? I'm back! Oh, hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Did you have a good outing? Hi, Wino. What's the matter? Your eyes are as big as dinner plates. Haha, I wasn't expecting to see you here. I've just made some tea, Mr. Naruhodo. Would you like a cup? A cup or two, yes. Definitely. Haha. Definitely. Oh, man. Alright, Wino, what's going on? You're acting extremely strangely. What? Me? No, not at all. I'm as normal can be. Normality itself, see? Haha, Not again, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah! Sorry? Not what again? What do you mean, Susie? Whenever he goes out on his own lately, he always seems to come back with a peculiar new purchase. Peculiar? Peculiar? What's peculiar about the things I've bought? You seem to think that anything British is a curio you simply must have. You keep buying items of bric-a-brac even though you don't know what they are. Well, there are rather a lot of bric-a-brac shops and pawnbrokeries and the like around here. It's when I've been off to Lord Strongheart's to give my weekly report. I'm always so nervous beforehand. On the way home, I just find myself on those shops and... Yes, alright, I can't deny it. I've bought something. You're right, you can't deny it. Because your eyes are wider than ever. You really ought to put up a warning sign about them. They are bigger than some potholes around here. It's hard to resist things in the bric-a-brac shop. It's also cheap. Mr. Sholmes has given me lots of useful advice about how to pick out the real bargains. You must remember, Ryuno, that Hurley likes to have fun with you. Take his advice with a big pinch of salt. Well, that's true. That thing he told me about was a pot stand. Wasn't a pot stand at all. But I'd never have guessed it was a collapsible top hat. No, and I'd never have guessed that you could fill up this once empty room so quickly. Honestly, it's overflowing with things we don't need now. I mean, look at those scales. Not once have you weighed something on them. I know, but ever since I first stood at the defense's bench in court, I don't know why, but I've just really wanted my own little set of scales. Also Waage, ne? Diese Waage da im Hintergrund. Let's see it then, Mr. Naruhodo. What have you come home with today? Oh, well, it's, one of these. What is it? It looks all dry and shriveled up in a ball. Really, Mr. Naruhodo, what is it? It's a sea anemone. Was? Eine Seeanemone? An anemone? Yes, I mean, I know it doesn't look like it at the moment. It's all shriveled up, like you said. Aren't sea anemones living creatures? The ones that dance about on the seabed. Yes, exactly. The ones that dance about on the seabed. Oh, they sell sea anemones in bric-a-brac shops here in Britain. I don't know whether they normally do or not, but I do know that I bought one today. But why, Runo? Well, yes, for the aquarium, of course. Aquarium? I don't know that word. Well, according to the shopkeeper, keeping sea creatures in tanks was usually popular here in London before. Oh yes, some people have some beautiful fish in seawater tanks, it's true. Having an aquarium became popular because the old glass tax was abolished. There it is again, wearing its ugly head, the subject of taxation. It was a real craze for a while. Everyone in London had one. For a while? Yes, it didn't last long. People's enthusiasm soon waned. It's just far too much work to be changing the seawater regularly in a city like London. Never a truer word said, I'm sure. You'd think people might have realized that from the start, really, wouldn't you? Anyway, that was long before I was born. So now, everyone jokes that there's an unloved aquarium covered in dust in every attic in the capital. And it's true, there's one in this attic too. When I told the man in the bric-a-brac shop about it, he had these words of wisdom. Was? Okay. That's why this is the age of the sea anemone, and that made a lot of sense to me. It made sense to you, did it? But Runo, this anemone is completely dried up. You just need to soak it in water overnight and it'll be as good as new, that's what the man said. I'm not sure that it works in the same way as dried Wakame's seaweed, Mr. Naruhodo. Ich glaube, du bist da auch auf einen Scam reingefallen, aber okay. Once I've saved some money, I'm going to buy some prawns to keep the little fellow company. Oh, how exciting! Your office will be teeming with life. Will it really? Britain is a funny country though. I mean, a sea anemone craze? Well, they say people in glass houses about comments like that here. Mr. Naruhodo. Don't forget that there was a very curious rabbit craze in our own country not so very long ago. A mortifying chapter that people will try to erase from the history books 100 years from now, I'm sure. Ja, ich wusste davon auch nichts, ne, aber jetzt durch Ace Attorney wird's für immer in den Geschichtsbüchern bleiben. You know, there was another craze as well before the aquarium one. Have you heard of Wardian cases? What? No, I've definitely never heard of them. Oh Mann. Wardian. Was ist Wardian? Okay, er findet nichts unter Wardian. They were little glazed cases of growing plants indoors, I believe. Ah, okay. Oh, I see. For plant lovers to raise their favorite tropical plants. That's right, like different types of ferns. Ferns? Ferns sind Kräuter, glaube ich. Do you mean those rather dull plants with lots of fronds for leaves? Ne, Ferns sind diese... Oh, wie heißen die auf Deutsch? Diese Urwaldpflanzen, oder nicht? Ferns. Farnpflanzen. Fahne. Ah, okay. They are not dull at all. Ferns are lovely plants. I think people wanted to recreate the exotic foliage of the tropics in their own homes. So they grew ferns. I mean, ferns, sea anemones. Londoners certainly have a knack for the obscure. Well, thinking about it, my grandfather loved the moss in his bonsai. He looked after it better than the trees. It seems like the more obscure something is, the more it interests people. Maybe, Anyway, the Wardian case didn't last very long. Now, most of those little glass cases are just gathering dust, I think. But haven't I seen one in your room, Iris? Oh, very observant of you, Susie. Yes, that's right. Mine's certainly not gathering dust. I grow tropical herbs in it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I really must ask you to stop all this frivolous buying of strange things. Yes, alright, sorry. It's just that, well, think about Mr. Sholmes' room. He has all sorts of peculiar trinkets lying around. Oh, well, yes, that's true. And they seem to be growing in number. Recently, I've noted a blowpipe, a few beryl crystals set in a twisted piece of gold, a gold-rimmed pin's nest. Was ist ein Pin's Nest? Pins oder Pince-nez, weil es französisch geschrieben ist. Pince-nez. Hallo? Ey. Kneifer, Zwicker, Klemmer. Okay. A gold-rimmed ein goldener Kneifer. I spotted a small gramophone record in the other day, so I slipped it onto the gramophone. But it was just a whispering voice saying Norbury and nothing more. What could it possibly be about? Those are all mementos of cases that Hurley solved over the years. Exactly! That's what I want to create in here. Just that sort of atmosphere. Ah, a room full of meaningful trinkets, each with their own unique history, you mean? Yes, that! I knew you'd understand, Miss Susato. But, Mr. Naruhodo, none of the things you've bought for the room have any connection with any of our cases. Oh, don't they? Well, for example, take that splendid but rather weather-beaten top hat. That wasn't used as evidence in any of the cases we've worked on, was it? Oh, so you have two top hats, if you count the collapsible one as well. No, the collapsible one is a pot stand. As far as I'm concerned, anyway. Oh, man. But the other day, when we were in court, they were everywhere, weren't they? Ah, yes, the cylinder. Top hats, I mean. Well, here in Britain, of course, they are the mark of a true gentleman, so that's hardly surprising. If a man isn't wearing a top hat when he ventures out of doors, he'll be looked down upon. Gosh, it has very strict rules, doesn't it? The English gentleman's code. I've been wondering how I'd look in a top hat recently. After all, my university uniform is black as well, so I think it would be very in keeping. Oh, what a good idea! Go on then, Ryuno. Try it on. Das möchte ich sehen. Die Blicke von den beiden. The lesson here, I suppose, is that the juxtaposition of student and gentleman is just so strange. And wrong. Well, I'd rather it didn't suit me anyway. I mean, these hats are ridiculous. I'd be willing to bet every foreigner who sees one of these for the first time thinks exactly the same thing. The same thing, so why is that man wearing a chimney on his head? People in glass houses, remember, Ryuno? What do you mean? Well, what about Japanese Chon-mage top knots? Those haircuts are the height of ridiculousness. Was sind Chon-mage top knots? Chon-mage top knot. Ah, das sind diese Frisuren hier, guck mal. Diese Frisuren. Interesting. Die sehen wirklich ein bisschen lächerlich aus. True. At least you can take a head off. Once you have a Chon mage, it's Chon your head for good. I'd be willing to bet every foreigner who sees a Chon mage for the first time thinks exactly the same thing. Why is that man wearing a cannon on its head? I suppose that's what it means to have different cultures, isn't it? Ich denke schon, ja. on the subject of hats. The one Mr. Sholmes always wears is really very strange, don't you think? I beg your pardon, Mr. Naruhodo. What a thing to say! That hat is a very essence of Mr. Sholmes. Yes, without his Deerstalker, the great detective would be unrecognizable. What is Deerstalker? Deerstalker. Pirscherhut, Deerstalkerhut. Sherlock Holmes Mütze. Ah, okay. It's called the Deerstalker? That's a surprisingly swanky name. It's the head of a hunter, just like the flat cap. I made up my mind long ago to visit Regent Street and buy one for myself. I'm not sure it's going to fit over your hair. Well, I think it's perfect for a great detective who stalks his criminal quarry. What do you think is strange about it anyway? Well, you've seen it. It has two brims, one at the front and one at the back. Zwei Schirme, ne? Why do you need two brims on the head? Surely one at the front is enough, no? I mean, es ist schon ziemlich praktisch, ne? Weil wenn du eine Schirmmütze aufhast, die noch vorne sowas hat, du bekommst ja Sonnenbrand hinten im Nacken dann. Also wenn du einen Schatten auch hinten hast, auf dem Nacken drauf, das ist schon praktisch eigentlich. One moment please. If you ask me, it's just Mr. Sholmes' madcap personality coming through. I bet it's so that he doesn't have to think about which way round to put it in or something like that. Mr. Sholmes does not have a madcap personality. He always has a clear head. Deerstalkers were made for hunters who had to hide in thickets when they were stalking their prey. The brim at the back was designed to stop the stalks of plants scratching the backs of the neck. Okay, das ist auch schlau, damit die Pflanzen nicht drankommen. Oh, so that's the reason. Thank you, Iris, for educating us. Mr. Sholmes doesn't spend a lot of time in thickets though, does he? Well, no, that's true. I'm telling you, just his impetuous personality. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it, firmly. Ah! Here you all are! Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Sholmes. I've not long since made some tea, Mr. Sholmes. Would you like a cup? I see I've come at a good time, Mr. Sato. Thank you. Now, I have something I should like you all to see. I've designed myself a brand new great detective's hat. What the... There's a brim. At the front. And at the back. And at both sides. 4 brims in total. Your observation is quite correct, my dear madam. I'm a busy man, you see? But with this hat, whichever way I put it on, I shall always have it pointing the correct way. Oh. With my previous hat, I could, in an impetuous moment, wear it wondrously with the brims on either side. That's impressively clumsy, I would say. And I must regretfully say, I think your madcap theory was correct after all. But really, Mr. Sholmes, with brims on all 4 sides like that, wouldn't it just be better to wear a top hat instead? Ja, stimmt. Hä? Ja, ein Zylinder hat ja... hat ja, einmal drumherum so ein Schirm. Oh yes, then however you put it on, you'd have a brim all around. What? So true, so true. How could I have been so blinkered to this fact until now? Well, fortunately, I happen to have 2 top hats here. If you just lift the pot of it, you're welcome to try that one there. Indeed, I shall, my good fellow. Much obliged. Oder obliged, ich weiß es nicht. Das möchte ich jetzt aber sehen. Wenn wir schon nicht Ryunosuke im Top Hat gesehen haben, dann bitte schön Hurlock. Oh dear Hurley, it looks terrible. More terrible than I could possibly have imagined. Oh, that's not good. Maybe it's because of your long face. Paired with a tall hat. It just doesn't work. Well, I think it's very nice, Mr. Sholmes. Even if it will have the whole world in fits of laughter. Ah! So, dann muss ich einmal kurz einen Cut machen. I should never have meddled with it. Give me a deerstalker for evermore. And give me my regulation university head for evermore. There's still hope that you graduate one day, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't give up. Okay, das war's. Ich musste einmal kurz einen Cut machen, weil hier geklopft wurde. Aber ja, weil mein Essen ist jetzt da. Aber gut, dann war's das. Nächste Folge, dann Episode 6 in Mr. Natsumes Room. Ah, Mr. Natsume, den mochte ich auch als Charakter. Aber gut, das war ja eine sehr wilde Konversation von Ryunosukes Einkäufen bis hin zu Lindern. Aber gut, so ist das, so sind diese Eskapaden. Ich bedanke mich herzlich fürs Zuschauen, ich bedanke mich herzlich fürs Dabeisein. Und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Bis dann, ciao, ciao und Einspruch.